My name is Emma, and I've spent my life wondering why it never felt like mine. Imagine finding out your parents gave your name to someone else like you were a rough draft they discarded. I was 24, sitting in my cramped Brooklyn apartment, staring at a DNA test result that promised answers I'd chased, since I was old enough to know adopted meant I was a puzzle with missing pieces. The test led me to a name Clara and Michael Reed and an address in a quiet Ohio suburb. My heart pounded as I booked a flight, the kind of reckless hope you feel when you're one step from solving a mystery. I'd always pictured my birth parents as ghosts, shadows who loved me but couldn't keep me. Now I had their names, their faces in my mind, and a burning need to know why they let me go. The plane ride was a blur of nerves and bad coffee. I rehearsed what I'd say. Hi, I'm Emma, your daughter. Why did you give me up? Simple, right? But every version sounded wrong, too accusing, too desperate. By the time I rented a car and drove to their cul-de-sac, my hands were shaking. Their house was picture perfect. White picket fence, rose bushes, a tricycle tipped over in the yard. It screamed family. And I felt like an intruder before I even knocked. Clara opened the door. She was in her late 40s, with soft brown eyes and a smile that faltered when she saw me. I must have looked like a ghost to her too. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice polite but wary. I froze, my carefully planned speech dissolving. "I'm Emma," I blurted. "Emma Reed. I think I'm your daughter." Her face crumpled, not with joy, but with something heavier. Guilt? Fear. She stepped aside, motioning me in without a word. The living room was warm, cluttered with family photos and kids' toys. Michael, her husband, appeared from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dish towel. He was tall, with a kind face that hardened when Clara whispered, "She's Emma." They exchanged a look I couldn't read, but it made my stomach twist. Before I could say more, a small voice piped up. "Mommy, who's that?" A girl, maybe 7, bounced into the room, her dark curls identical to mine. She grinned, all teeth and curiosity. Clara knelt beside her, voice soft. "This is a visitor, sweetie. Go play for a bit, okay, Emma?" My heart stopped. Emma? They'd named her Emma too. My name. Their daughter. The one they kept. I sat on their couch, clutching the DNA test results like a lifeline. Clara and Michael sat across from me, their hands clasped so tightly their knuckles were white. "We didn't know how to find you," Clara started, her voice trembling. "We were young, barely 20, when we gave you up. We thought it was the right thing." Michael nodded, his eyes fixed on the floor. "We were broke, living in a one-room apartment. We couldn't give you a life." I wanted to scream, "Then why did you give my name to her?" But I swallowed it, my throat tight. "I just want to know why," I said instead. "Why you didn't look for me. Why you replaced me." The words slipped out, raw and accusing, and Clara flinched like I'd slapped her. "We didn't replace you," she whispered. We named her Emma because we never stopped thinking about you. It was our way of keeping you with us." Michael reached for her hand, his eyes wet. "We thought you were happy with a good family. We didn't want to disrupt that." I laughed, a bitter sound that surprised even me. "Happy? I grew up wondering why I wasn't enough for you." My adoptive parents were kind, but the hole in my chest never closed. Every birthday I'd stare at the ceiling, imagining the people who made me and let me go. Now here they were, with a daughter who shared my name, my curls, my place. Little Emma ran back in, holding a drawing. "Look, Mommy. It's us." The crayon sketch showed 3 stick figures: Clara, Michael, and her. No room for me. I felt like I was drowning. "She's adorable," I said, forcing a smile. "How old is she?" Clara's voice softened. 7. "She's our miracle baby. We didn't think we could have another after you." The words hit like a punch. After you. Like I was a chapter they'd closed. I wanted to hate them, to hate the little girl who got the life I didn't. But she was just a kid, oblivious to the storm she'd walked into. I excused myself to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face to keep from crying. In the mirror, I saw my mother's eyes staring back Clara's eyes. It was proof I belonged, but it didn't feel like it. Over the next hour, they told me their story. They'd been high school sweethearts, pregnant at 19 and terrified. Adoption was their only option, they said. Pushed by their parents and a social worker who promised I'd have a better life. They signed the papers, moved on, and built this perfect suburban world. When they had their second Emma, They gave her my name as a tribute. A tribute. The word felt like a betrayal. I asked to see photos, desperate to piece together the life I'd missed. Clara hesitated, then handed me an album. Page after page of birthdays, vacations, Christmases, all with little Emma. I saw myself in her smile, her laugh, but I wasn't there. I was a ghost in their story, haunting the edges. Do you ever talk about me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Michael looked away. We didn't want to confuse her, he said. She's too young to understand. Dinner was awkward, the four of us around a table set for a family I wasn't part of. Little Emma chattered about school, her friends, her love for soccer. I nodded, smiled, but every Emma from Clara's mouth felt like a knife. I wanted to love this kid, she was my sister, after all, but jealousy burned hotter than I expected. She had everything I dreamed of. Parents who kept her. A name they chose for her. A life that felt whole. That night I stayed in their guest room, staring at the ceiling like I did as a kid. I thought about leaving, cutting contact, and pretending this never happened. But something kept me there, maybe the hope that I could still find a place in this family. The next morning, Clara made pancakes, and little Emma insisted I sit next to her. You're nice, she said, syrup on her chin. Are you gonna visit again? My heart cracked. She didn't know I was her sister, didn't know the weight of her name. Over coffee, Clara and Michael opened up more. They admitted they'd thought about finding me but were scared I'd hate them. We didn't know if you'd want us in your life, Clara said, tears in her eyes. We didn't want to hurt you more. I wanted to believe them, but the hurt was already there, carved into me by years of wondering. Still, I saw their pain, to the guilt of letting me go, the fear of facing me now. I spent a week with them trying to bridge the gap. Little Emma became my shadow, asking me to read her stories, play hide and seek, braid her hair. Every time I did, I felt a mix of love and resentment. She was innocent, but she was also the life I'd lost. Clara and Michael tried too, sharing stories of their youth, asking about mine. But the name thing hung over us, an unspoken wound. Why give her my name? Why make me feel erased? One night I confronted them. Did you ever think about how I'd feel, knowing you gave her my name? Clara broke down, sobbing. We thought it was a way to honor you. We were wrong. We didn't know you'd find us. Michael put his arm around her, his voice steady but raw. We messed up, Emma. We can't undo it, but we want you in our lives. Both of you. I didn't know if I could forgive them, but I wanted to try. Leaving Ohio felt like abandoning a piece of myself, but staying felt like betraying another. I promised to keep in touch, to visit again. Little Emma hugged me goodbye, whispering, "You're my favorite, Emma." I laughed through tears, wondering if I could ever share that name without pain. Back in Brooklyn, I stared at the DNA test results again. They'd given me answers but also new questions. Was I their daughter, or just a shadow of the family they'd built? Could I love a sister who carried my name, my face, my place? The questions haunted me, but so did the possibility of connection. I started texting Clara, small things at first, photos of my cat, updates about work. She sent pictures of little Emma's soccer games, always signing off, "We love you." Months later, I went back for little Emma's birthday. She ran to me, calling, "Big Emma." It was her idea, she said, to tell us apart. For the first time, I felt like I might belong, not as a replacement but as me. The road to forgiveness was long, but I was walking it one step at a time. What would you do if you found your name on someone else's life? Is it possible to forgive a choice that broke your heart? Share your thoughts. Where does justice lie in a story like this?